Okay, so I'm going to show you the way that I skin out a wolf foot. This one here obviously isn't attached to the whole wolf. It was a mangy wolf, that's why we cut it off for this, but the same process would be used regardless of whether it was attached or not. The whole foot will be right here. So what I like to do when I'm skinning my wolf feet is I skin it down to here and I do cut it off right there. I find them a lot easier to deal with when you're not dealing with the whole carcass, just the foot part. So what I'll do is I'll take my knife and right from the pad, about an inch or so in front of that pad is where I'll make that cut down the front leg, around that dew claw there. Right? And then this is where we'll open this up. We'll pull this right down to the foot. So there we come to the first claw here. So the skin down. And you want to make sure when you're doing the toes you get right to the last knuckle. You don't want to leave any extra bones or anything in there. So skin this down. You get to that last knuckle, and that's where you're just going to take your knife and cut it through just right to there. So you can see there's the claw there. You can feel the tip of my fingers right there. You know you're at the last knuckle, and it will keep on going down past the pad. The reason I like doing it this way with the vise is you can keep lots of tension on here. Some guys use a halibut hook or something like that. They'll hang it from the ceiling and do the same thing hanging. Either way works. This is the way I've always done it, so this is the way I keep doing it. The key to this though is just make sure you keep that tension on it the whole time. So this point here, this is where we're getting to that pad. So again, keep lots of tension, right? Pulling on it. Like I said, obviously you'd have the whole hide here to pull with if you're doing it this way, but we don't have that today. So when you're going through the pad, right, keep lots of tension and just keep skinning all the way around, and then give it a pull, skin all the way around, give it a pull. Once we're down past the pad, that's when we're going to start working on each of the individual toes. Be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to cut through and into the pad or make a hole. So just take your time with it. Go slow. You can see there's that pad right there. There's all in there. Let's just make sure cut just in front of the pad and work it down. So now once we're past here, what we're going to do is, you can, if you want to, keep working it down like this all the way. What I prefer to do is I cut the toes off quite up high in this joint. Just take a pair of pliers and then you can pull each one of those toes individually. It makes it a lot faster, a lot easier than trying to work with all of them. Just keep skinning. If you want at this point, you can even take this off here and put it right onto there so you can keep tension on it. It's up to you how you want to do that. Pull that down, getting close to that last knuckle right there. Just work your knife in there and cut that off. Carefully you don't cut through the hide. Right, and there's the first one there. So we'll do the same thing. Skin through, cut it off that top knuckle there. Grab our pliers and just pull the toe up. And again, you want to take your time with this, don't rush it. If you're going too fast, that's when you can pull the toe right through and you'll pull the nail off. Right? It'll damage it, especially if you're trying to do something like making a rug out of this. It's going to be a whole lot extra work for the taxidermist to try and fix that afterwards. So just take your time with it so you don't wreck it. And make it look nice and good. So we're coming up to that joint again. Right about there. Oops. Sometimes you can get a little bit slippery. Make sure your knife is very sharp for this as well. Now we've only got the 2 toes, I can keep a lot more of this tension on here a lot easier. So I'll skin a little bit further down before I cut that whole toe off. There. That up. Coming up to that joint right there again. Just work all the way around. You get to the joint, cut it through. And the last one. We got the joint there, and there's our wolf foot like that. So next step here, we're doing the wolf feet, is you can clean this up a little bit. If there's any big chunks of fat or anything on there, this one's not too bad. A lot of this padding on the bottom here you don't have to worry too much about. You can clean up a little bit of it. I don't get carried away with it. What we're going to do is we're going to just put lots of salt on this foot, and we're going to dry it out like that. So what I like to do is push all the toes out as far as I can get them, right? Make sure you get right into the bottom there. You can see there's that bottom knuckle and all the toes. And then we're going to take our salt, and we're going to put lots of salt into that foot. Paper towel down and just work lots of salt. Salt is cheap, right? Don't be afraid of using too much. The more you get in there, the better. And all this is going to do is just help draw a lot of that moisture out so that that foot is going to dry properly. Make sure you get it right down into those toes. You don't want any of the hair to slip on the feet, especially like I said, if it's going for a rug mount or something like that. If you have hair slip, it's going to ruin that mount. Work lots of that salt into there. Work it right in. Make sure you get into every little nook and cranny all the way along. Especially right in the bottom of that pad too. You want to draw the moisture out of that pad. Some guys use borax for this. I prefer salt personally. Personal preference. But borax works as well, but I just like the way the salt works into it better. Borax more mummifies it, so to speak. It dries it right out, whereas a salt just keeps all the hair from going, but it's still pliable enough you can still work it really good. So work all that in there. Then what I do is I push this so the foot is going to be right side out again. The fur will be on the outside. All the claws and everything. If I can get it. There we go. Just like that. Make sure to pull all those toes all the way out. And by doing the foot like this, some guys will skin right around that pad all the way down there. This way here we've made that foot into almost a pocket. And what I'll do at this point here is fill that all the way up with salt again. And like I said, you can't use too much salt. Make sure I pack that right down into all the different toes. So that whole foot, all the toes, everything's all packed with salt. Make sure you get this other little dew claw up here. pack it nice and full too. And that's how I'll let that foot dry, just like that. The next day I'll come back, pour all that salt out, right? And that's going to draw a lot of that moisture. That's going to pull a lot of that out of there. I'll put more salt into it again, and about the next day I'll drop that salt out of there, and at that point I'll just leave it there. That salt's going to draw all the moisture, drawn all the moisture out of it. The foot's going to be nice and dry. It's got a nice pocket there, so taxidermist can do whatever he wants with it at this point in time, and it's easy for them to work with, and you don't have to worry about anything kind of rot or anything else going on with that. And that's all there is to do in a wolf foot. It does not take a whole lot of time, but like I said, a couple little things just make your life a little bit easier. Done.